Trump ran on a promise of no new wars. However, this weekend, he launched a 30-hour B-2 bomber mission targeting 3 Iranian nuclear facilities. And Iran struck back. Its parliament voted yesterday to close the Strait of Hormuz, the artery for 20% of global oil. The shock was enough to snap Bitcoin's 45-day streak above 100K, dropping it briefly to $98,000. But this morning, as US markets opened, Bitcoin came roaring back and now is sitting firm at $102,000. Time and time again, Bitcoin is the first to react to global turmoil as it trades 24/7. But it has outperformed stocks and gold after major geopolitical shocks time and time again. What is driving this resilience and where are we headed next? Let's break it down live. Today, I am very glad to be joined by Thea. How are you doing?
Hello, nice to be back. Hi, guys. Sorry
Yeah.
if it sounded a little bit weird. Like I was just telling Rob, I have a slight stuffy nose, but other than that, I'm all good.
Yes, great. Well, great to see you again. You have returned to your homeland after an amazing America tour where you met pretty much everybody in Bitcoin. So yes, actually, before we start, let's get into that. Tell us about your trip to America. What did you learn about the Bitcoin scene over here?
Oh my gosh, it was one of the best trips of my life. Like I actually had such an amazing time because before going, like I'm telling you, didn't really plan much. I just knew that I was going to be there for the whole month, and then at Strategy World, we just made so many friends, and we were like, "Oh, you're in San Francisco. Oh, you're in Newport. Oh, you're here." So we just like went to meet all the different people, and yeah, I was traveling with Ellie Dozier, as you guys know, and my other like kind of like teammate, Maddie. So we were all like having such a good time, and I think what it made me feel like really, really even more bullish about Bitcoin is that the people who are behind it and all the people that you see on X and all that, when you talk to them as real people, they are the most genuinely kind, nice people, and they're exactly true to like what they're talking about. It's not like anyone's performing extra. Okay, maybe there's like some theatrics of like, okay, we want to get like engagement or whatever. But at the end of the day, they all have the same purpose of spreading Bitcoin and making Bitcoin as loud as possible. So I was like, I really love these people. They like sit what's it called? Like they sit really well with me in terms of like human kindness radar as well. So I was like, yeah, I think the US really gave a really good impression.
Nice. Well, glad to hear it as an American myself. And I would completely agree with you. The Bitcoin community is extremely generous and giving of their time and attention. And if you know that you share this passion for Bitcoin, for truth, for hard money, for fixing the world's problems that start with having a soft money, you already have a lot of common ground and it's very easy to
Yeah,
make quick friends, right?
exactly. That's like the main reason, right? Like we all can become quick friends because Bitcoin is more than just like this new monetary system. It teaches you so many different things about life, philosophy, engineering, science, economics. Like it's just like a big bag. Like once one you open the can and everything comes out.
Yes, 100%. Cool. So today we are going to be diving into our newsletter as we do every Monday morning. And Thea, she's done her homework. She's researched well. We know what topics we're going to cover. And I mean, the big news this week, of course, is this conflict with Iran.
Yeah.
Of course, America has a pretty sordid history, I would say, with the Middle East over the last 25 years. And Trump was elected in main part, especially 10 years ago, because he was so vocal about these wars being a giant mistake, that we wasted $8 trillion going into places like Iraq and Afghanistan. And he said, there's no need for that whatsoever. And now that he's in his second term and he's only got 3.5 years left to be president, it seems as if those promises of no new wars are going out the window. They launched this strike on Iran, on the nuclear facilities, and we don't know what's going to happen next. But in terms of escalation, this is just another step up. But Bitcoin is still above $100,000. So we'll dive into that. geopolitical stuff later. But first, let's go straight into the adoption section of the newsletter. Again, this is the Bitcoin News weekly newsletter. It comes out every Monday morning, 7 a.m. Eastern, right into your inbox, gives you the biggest headlines of all the news in Bitcoin. And we're here to break it all down. So, Thea, this first one about Bank of America, they are ranking Bitcoin alongside the printing press, steam engine, and the internet is one of the most disruptive technologies of the last 1,000 years. What do you think about
That
this?
honestly, I think I was talking about this at dinner today because it's nighttime for us, and I kind of mentioned it before the intro, right? Like when you talk about Bitcoin and when you come to understand Bitcoin, it opens this whole can of more than just one thing. Bitcoin is more than just okay, like this new monetary system, right? It is that, but it's way more because people when they started digging into what's wrong with money, and then they dig into what's wrong with like all these other things, what's wrong with how like society is built, what's wrong with government, like all these different facets of Bitcoin. And I totally agree, like putting Bitcoin up there with printing press and what else did they have on the list, like the
Uh,
internet.
yeah, we got.
Internet, electrical vehicles, like all that stuff. It's going to piss off a lot of normies. Like a lot of people I spoke to don't actually believe that Bitcoin is as impressive and as amazing as we believe, right? But yeah, I think this is like amazing recognition, and one day people who disagree will come back around and be like, you know what, I was totally wrong and Bitcoin was right.
100%. And I mean, Bitcoin gets grouped in with a lot of these other cryptos, of course, whether it's ETH or Solana. People sometimes think that Bitcoin means crypto in general, but no,
Yeah.
Bitcoin is its own thing. That it was the discovery of digital scarcity, right? And
It
it's
was so amazing. All these things like spurred out, try to be like Bitcoin. You know what I mean? Like you don't group Bitcoin in the thing that try to copy Bitcoin.
exactly 100%. And so, yes, it is amazing to see Bank of America recognize it for what it is and put it on the same chart as the printing press, as the telescope, the steam engine, right? These are all earth-changing discoveries, inventions, and Bitcoin is on that list. And I mean, we're very lucky to understand Bitcoin for what it is, right? It's been around for 16 years now, and yet many people are still in the dark, think that it's just a fad. But that's why we're here. That's what we're doing, right? Getting the education out, making sure people know that there is a difference between Bitcoin and every other crypto, and that it is a technological advancement, that it is on par with the internet, and that this could go down as the defining discovery slash invention of the early 21st century.
Is the discovery. So, one thing I want to say, I've been grinding so hard on IG and TikTok, like making these short form videos. And because all the audience there is not like Bitcoiners like us on X, right? It's like people who are from very like traditional, I guess, finance or who want to understand tech. Whenever I make a video, because my whole thing is on X, I am Bitcoin only. I want to focus on Bitcoin because that's where like all our Bitcoiners, everyone, we all live here. But on IG and on TikTok, I try to do more of a generalized tech approach where my tagline is I talk about technology that's changing the world one idea at a time. And I will always put Bitcoin in. Like I'll talk about one tech in one video, but then I'll put Bitcoin because I'm trying to align these people's thoughts with, if this girl who's talking about technology, things that are changing the world, is also talking about Bitcoin, she's smart enough to understand AI. She's smart enough to understand ontologies. Like, of course, like, if she's talking about Bitcoin, it's something, right? And I always get such controversial like comments on the Bitcoin ones, or like no views at all. It's either people get pissed off or don't watch it. And then I made like an AI one, and then it like pops off or whatever. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, we are still so early. People are still so like they have such a knee-jerk reaction when we talk about Bitcoin that it's crazy.
Yeah, it does. And some people bring out this visceral reaction, like, right? I mean, they feel like they need to get their claws out and attack when they hear the Bitcoin word, and
Yeah.
it's
Some people
surprising.
feel like they were late. That's the thing.
Yeah.
They feel like they missed the boat, which I
Yeah.
always tell people, you guys, you don't look at it at the number. Think of it in terms of adoption, like how widely spread it actually is, and also if Bitcoin is going to be some like one of the most prominent assets in the whole entire world, like digital gold, or even worth more than digital gold, it doesn't really matter. Like there are kids being born all the time. These kids got to get Bitcoin at some point, right? Like it's not like it's gonna end.
No, it's true. And having Bitcoin over $100,000, there's the unit bias, right? People are afraid, oh my God, it's so expensive. Of course, many people don't know you can buy less than or just buy a fraction of a Bitcoin, of course. And this weekend was actually my sister's wedding, and I'm known as the Bitcoin guy, of course. And so numerous people came up to me and asked me about it, and they're like, so yeah, I feel just what you said. I feel late to Bitcoin, right? It's over 100K. What do you think about XRP? I'm like, no, no, these things are all scams, and it's the unibias, right? People see it at a couple of dollars and I think, oh, it's still early to that and I can get in on it, even though XRP has been around for over a decade, right? And they've just routinely dumped on retail every single time it appreciates significantly. Whereas Bitcoin, it's definitely has its crashes over the last 15 years, but it continues to grind upwards. And as Lynn Alden posted this morning, Bitcoin is in a good place. Bitcoin is in a very good place right now.
Yeah, I agree. I have like zero fear over what's gonna happen with the price of Bitcoin. Like it's like a Zen mode now. We're like,
Yeah,
we're good.
we're good. Yes, it
Yeah.
does feel that way. And
After like World War III threats and like bombing, and then Bitcoin barely like, barely move under 100K, like we're good. We're so
yeah.
good.
And that was a big part of Saylor's speech at BTC Prague this last week. He said that Bitcoin has made it, right? That we're officially a globally recognized asset, and that the hard part is over. But I think also it's important to not get complacent. The job in terms of education and pushing forward, especially not just as a store of value, but also as a medium of exchange, as a money, something that is censorship resistant and can be sent to anyone around the world. These are all things that need to be pushed forward, and we can't get complacent. We can't think that, oh, the battle's already won and we can just sit back on our stacks and be fabulously wealthy. No, that's not the point here. We're here to separate money from state.
Yeah.
And part of that comes with using Bitcoin as money. So the next part of our adoption section here, we have grocery giant Spar is rolling out Bitcoin Lightning payments in Liechtenstein, following a successful pilot in Switzerland to enable fast, low-fee crypto payments at checkout. So yes, they did this first in Switzerland. I believe they started in Lugano, which is a very Bitcoin-friendly city, and they rolled it out to all their stores across the country, and people are liking it. They're using it. And as we saw with Steak and Shake, when Bitcoiners get the chance to use their Bitcoin in a large corporate setting like this, to go out to the public market and just pay with Bitcoin, they are happy to do so. And of course,
I did
you did
it.
it. Nice. Where do
I
you do it?
I did it in Vegas. It
Yeah.
was so because I personally never paid with Bitcoin before because I always feel like I don't have enough yet. But I do believe that once like I get over a certain point, or like once we get to a certain point, like I will have to pay in Bitcoin because I won't have any other cash. But at the time, I went with Jan3, like the Aqua Wallet guys, and then they got me to try it out and buy a Steak and Shake burger. It's a Bitcoin burger at the place, and it was so cool. Like I truly believe that it's it's just what people are going to be used to in the future. Like here in Thailand, let me just say, the QR code scanning payment method is so normal. We've been doing that since COVID because when COVID happened, I think Thailand really pushed this initiative of like cashless society, no touch, no cash. So we were so used to just like getting our phones out, scanning a QR code and paying with digital like just bank account money, right? So I honestly doing that, it was the exact same experience. The wallet experience was so quick, everything was so quick. So I was like, like this is a no-brainer. Like when in the future, when we have the chance to at these type of stores, Bitcoiners will pay. Like it's not like a big barrier of anything.
Yeah, and the amazing thing is that the Lightning Network allows it to be just as seamless as paying with a card, right? So don't need to wait. There's no lag, and the average person would have no idea the difference between scanning a Lightning invoice and scanning for Venmo or any other digital payment system, right?
It's not hard at all. A lot of my non-Bitcoin friends, because I've been trying like since coming back from the US, I've been trying to orange pill everyone. Like it's gotten to a point where they're like, "Oh, come on, we just have a nice dinner," but they're like, "Oh, but Bitcoin." now they're researching, right? Because they want to argue with me. They're researching. They're like, but Bitcoin can't even scale. Like, oh, what about quantum? So at least I'm putting it in their brain to a point where they're doing the research to argue with me. So yeah, with the scaling issue, what do you think is going to happen in the future when more and more people use Bitcoin? It's just going to be like Lightning or something like that, right?
So yeah, I mean, on the base chain, on the base layer, yeah, there's 7 to 9 transactions per second, and that's just not enough for the globe to be able to transact successfully on a daily basis, right? But we've seen Lightning grow over the last 6 years into a digital payments network that works. You know, you can make payments over $1,000 on the Lightning network today, which was completely unthinkable just a couple of years ago. So yes, I mean, over time, it is growing in terms of connections, the amount of liquidity on the Lightning network. And it's funny, you don't even need all that much liquidity on the Lightning network in order for it to make it work, for global transactions to work, because people are sending it back and forth and it all just stays within the network itself. So Lightning has come leaps and bounds from where it was, and we're also seeing other layer two protocols pop up too, right? I mean, there's Arc, which had a big fanfare last year, and now they've gone back and they're retooling some things, but there's a lot of talk behind the scenes of how this could really complement Lightning really well, whereas Lightning would be the sort of business to business way for large amounts of money to travel very quickly between companies, then Arc allowing some more smaller payments to occur. And so I think there will always be options, right? And there's growing, and the minds of Bitcoiners should never be doubted. And the biggest thing is that you can unilaterally exit, right? There's lots of other Bitcoin layer twos where they have their own tokens and they say that they're built on Bitcoin, but at the end of the day, you can't get your Bitcoin out when you want to. Whereas with Lightning and Arc, you are able to get your Bitcoin if you want to close the channel or get out. So layer twos are growing, and yeah, I think that the number of solutions will continue to proliferate, and we will see Bitcoin be a trusty, well used, and just convenient way of spending money.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And also, there's no real like rush right now. I think with Bitcoin, it's like a slow burn for now, and like it's been exponential growth in its price. But I think in terms of like overall like usage, it's we are okay at the state that we are right now, right? Like for those who are super worried about, oh, it's not going to be handling all payments in the world right away. That's assuming that every other payment in the world is going to disappear overnight, which I don't think that's going to happen. And, as technology is needed, we will scale to that level, and then more and more people will come in and develop for it to be able to handle that. So I have actually no worries or fear at all whether or not Bitcoin will be able to do that in the future, because people work on things that are like in need, and like when it becomes so big and it becomes like the thing that we're going to obviously have to use, like money's going to come in, everyone's going to be doing it, like
Yeah.
why are you scared that it's not going to work?
Yeah, and I mean, I think the Bitcoin treasury companies have definitely added strongly to the narrative that Bitcoin is the best store of value, right? And that's why they all want to get on board with that, of course. But we can't lose sight that it is also a medium of exchange. And just as you were saying, Bitcoin is used by people as they need it. So people in Africa will use it as a medium of exchange much more quickly than someone in America, where we have payment rails that are pretty reliable, right? And we need the store of value because they're printing trillions of dollars on a yearly basis, right? So we have the store of value narrative very strong. In other places of the world, medium of exchange is important, but I think all these things need to be kept front of mind, and we can't just pigeonhole Bitcoin as a store of value, because if it does, all of it gets locked up. If over 50% of Bitcoin is locked up in ETFs, in institutions, then I think we do start to lose the idea of it as actual transactional money. So I think it's important to highlight these stories like Spar accepting Bitcoin payments, and as well as this story here. Jesse Schrader, the co-founder of Amboss, routed 4,708 payments and earned 133,000 sats using Rails, the AI-powered tool helping users earn non-custodial yield from Lightning routing. So, of course, one of the biggest digs from classic financial TradFi guys is that, yeah, you don't get any yield on Bitcoin, right? And all the ways that you do get yield often end up being some form of scam. Well, with the Lightning Network, you actually can earn for routing payments through the network, right? You do need to have a substantial amount of Bitcoin on the Lightning Network in order for you to have any notable yield from it. But this new system by Amboss is allowing that to happen. So you looked into this story, yes?
So I actually haven't. I looked in very briefly, but
Yeah.
I don't. Can you explain more about how this one works?
Yeah. So I think this is definitely worth going over to their site and checking out.
Because I
Um,
need to make a video on this. I feel like this yield on Bitcoin is like, breaking breaking news.
it's real yield, right? And I mean, a Lightning Network is so popular because the fees are so low on it, and so that means that even if you have liquidity locked up in the Lightning Network, getting a substantial yield is pretty hard. But if you this system is built for, all right, let's check this out. Rails. Rails is the program. So access yield on Bitcoin without giving up control. Our platform automatically deploys your Bitcoin to generate yield while you maintain complete custody of your assets. No lending, no counterparty risk, just secure,
Awesome.
automated yield operations. So yeah, you offer up your Bitcoin. The AI system will deploy it as it is needed within the network. But as you can see here, they had a
Do they have
chart.
information on how their AI works? Okay, how it works.
So yeah, you create an account, automated node generation. They facilitate the establishment and deployment of your Lightning node. You deploy your Bitcoin, send Bitcoin to your own node and access your earning potential. And then you just watch it, right? So here's an example of someone who deployed 5 Bitcoin in January. And with a year halfway done, they've earned 30 million sats, right? So, I
And
mean,
they have full custody of it as well, right?
yeah, you can withdraw your Bitcoin at any time. And I think that is, of course, the largest selling point here, that you maintain complete control over your keys. You're setting it to a node that you have control over so you can withdraw it at any time. And yeah, Amboss is a really cool company. They've got a great Lightning terminal. You can check out all the stats on the Lightning network. Let's check out their site. So yeah, you can stats. You can see all they have great charts up on their site that allows you to see all the capacity, the number of channels. I mean, that's kind of crazy how the amount of channels on the Lightning Network has fallen. But it's also, as Bitcoin's price appreciates, you need less Bitcoin on the Lightning Network in order to facilitate that much value on a daily basis. So yeah, Amboss is a really cool company. They've been in this space for a really long time, and now that's crazy. What went on? I guess it's only 200 nodes that went down. It's just, but yeah, if we zoom out here, but yes, this Rails allows you to earn yield on your Bitcoin in a legit way, in a way that is copacetic with Bitcoin's core values here. So yeah, definitely check this out. And it's at the intersection of Bitcoin and AI. So it's right up your alley.
A video on this because then I'll get all the AI people to be like, "Oh, how does AI work?"
Cool. Yes. So yeah, check out Amboss. And this system, Rails, is recommended for people with a Bitcoin or more to deploy as capital into the Lightning Network. But it's self custody, it's automated, and you just get to sit back and see your Bitcoin accumulate. And I mean,
That's
yeah, 30 million Sats is nothing to scoff at.
yeah.
40 grand over the last year, 6 months.
For 6 months, 40 grand in 6 months. Oof.
Yeah, not bad. I mean,
They have,
you had to start with 500K, but
yeah, they have to have a calculator. Be like, oh, if I had put 2 Bitcoin in, like, how much would I get? I feel like that would get people coming because then I'll be making videos. Like, oh, if you have 2 Bitcoin, you have 3 Bitcoin. This is how much you can be getting.
Cool. Yeah, I'll
Hopefully it
set
doesn't
up our
work out.
connections. You can talk to Jesse and make a video about it.
Yeah, it'd be awesome.
Cool. All right. So yes, moving on to our next section here. Big news out of Texas. Texas Governor Greg Abbott signs SB 21 into law, establishing a state Bitcoin reserve and making Texas the third state to do so. If we go to bitcoinnews.com, we've got a story on that right up front. And so, yes, it passed the House and the Senate about a month ago, I believe, and has been sitting on the governor's desk for a number of weeks now. But it is finally here. Texas joins Arizona and New Hampshire in passing the Bitcoin reserve legislation. But it is the first state to actually commit public funds to create a separate reserve outside of the state treasury. The Senator Charles Schwartner, who was pushing for this bill for the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve, he said, "We can buy land, we can buy gold. I think the state of Texas should have the option of evaluating the best performing asset over the last 10 years." So the
Amazing.
new, yeah, it's pretty cool. The new reserve is separate from the state's general treasury, so the state can manage its Bitcoin without mixing it with regular state budget funds. Um, and to ensure stability, the law allows investment only in digital assets with a market capitalization over 500 billion. And there is no other crypto in the world that meets that mark, of course. Yes, and so yes, this other bill that was also signed into law, House Bill 4488. This means that Texas can manage its Bitcoin separate from budget politics thanks to the financial safeguards, and it ensures the reserve will exist even if no Bitcoin is purchased immediately. So the state can develop a strategy.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, what do you think about this?
That's so bullish because a lot of people, when they first hear about like the America, the U.S.'s Bitcoin strategic reserve, they're like, "Oh, but they're not actually buying Bitcoin." And I'm like, "Well, what do you know? Like, you gotta wait a little bit." And then obviously, when states have their own Bitcoin reserve and they don't have Bitcoin in there yet, that implies that they're going to buy Bitcoin,
Hmm.
right? Like,
Hmm.
think a little bit next step because I literally just had this conversation, like I would say a debate with one of my friends. He's like in TradFi, and I was just like, you just buy a little bit, you never know. And then he was like so against it, and then I was like, even the U.S. has the strategic reserve, and he's like, but they're not buying, and I'm like, bro, bro. What do you think they're gonna do? Texas has a reserve, like they don't have any in there yet. They're gonna have to put something in.
Yeah, yeah, 100%.
So
As
bullish.
as Governor Abbott says, Texas is already the home of crypto mining.
Yeah,
This session, Texas should become the crypto capital. Of course, he's conflating crypto and Bitcoin, but we know
yeah,
what he means. We know what he means.
yeah.
Um,
Well,
yeah,
I'm
and
waiting for the day when they finally realize they're like, "Oh, damn, I should have used that word." No more of crypto. Yeah,
yeah. So yes, Texas stands alone in creating a fully funded Bitcoin reserve, unlike Arizona's unfunded version or New Hampshire's plan to hold Bitcoin in the existing state treasury. So yeah, Arizona passed it first, but it was just they weren't going to buy any, right? And
yeah,
New Hampshire's plan, they plan to hold Bitcoin, but in terms of accumulation, I'm not too clear. I don't think that New Hampshire plans to go out and actively buy it. But we've got Texas. They are going to be adding to the stockpile, and Texas is I would say, the Bitcoin capital of America. They've got all the largest miners there, from Marathon to Riot and many others, and very strong Bitcoin scene down in Austin. They've got Bitcoin Park, Austin. Unchained is there. Pleb Lab is there. Shout out to Carr of Pleb Lab, who's holding down the scene, helping to incubate Bitcoin businesses, startups, making sure that they are able to get the right connections and the footing to go out and help Bitcoinize the world. So yes, big news out of Texas.
yeah. That's such good news, especially like the mention because like the other states haven't really mentioned accumulating Bitcoin, but I think Texas will be like the front runner, the one who sets
Yeah.
it up for everyone else once they see what happens.
Yeah, and I mean they're positioning themselves well. I mean, there's all these companies that are rushing into Bitcoin right now, of course, and so for them to be the first state that has the option to actually buy it right now at 100K before it goes on this legendary run that we all think it was about to go on in the next 12 to 18 months ahead of us, Texas is in a good spot.
Yeah.
Um, Speaking of legal matters, now
Mhm.
let's turn our attention to Novitex.
Oh, this
Iran,
news got me shook. I was like, "What? What?
yeah,
I've
this
never heard of
is
anything like this before."
this is pretty insane. So Iran's largest crypto exchange was hacked for $81.7 million worth of crypto. The attackers stole Bitcoin and other assets, then burned the funds by sending them to an unrecoverable vanity address.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. I was like, "They burned it."
They
'Cause
burned it.
yeah, usually when, there's hackers or something like that, it's always a malicious monetary kind of thing. They try to steal money, like we saw recently with, like, the Bybit hack. But this one was purely political, it seems, right?
Yeah,
It's like to push a narrative or to push a like, make a point. That
yeah,
that to me was so crazy. I was like, "No way, almost $90 million gone."
yes. So Novitex is Iran's largest exchange. They've
Yeah,
got over 6 million users, and it was hacked. I mean, of course, we've got the Iran-Israel conflict going on right now, and in the same week last week, this hacker group, Predatory Sparrow, first they attacked SEPA Bank, which is one of Iran's longest-running banks, and they shut down the ATMs and caused a bunch of distress. I mean, the hackers came out and said that they destroyed data, right? That they wiped out the ledger of this bank. I think Iranian government officials came out and said that they would be able to restore it in not too long. Um, but yes, and so then the same week they did SEPA Bank, and then the day after that they did Novitex, and so they attacked their hot wallets.
yeah.
And they sent the funds to a vanity address, as you can read it right here. It says F the IRGC, the Iranian Royal Guard, right? Their military outfit there. So yes, this was politically motivated, of course. Yes, and we have Nima here in the YouTube comments chiming in that the majority of the funds that were stolen were Tether USDT, around $48
Yeah.
million worth on the Tron network. But what what happened next? These guys they stole it, and they're the reason for attacking Novitex was that they say anybody working with Novitex is considered valid military service. They say that they are able to fund lots of their military operations through this crypto exchange. But I mean, it's interesting. I think this exchange has ties to Binance and Justin Sun, and Trump is working with Justin Sun at World Liberty, Lord Liberty Fi, and
That's so
it's
crazy.
it's
That
it's
is so crazy to me.
it's a weird, wild web.
What timeline are we in?
Yeah, yeah,
But yeah, this news, when I saw it, I was like, why would they do that? But then you would look into it. Okay, so it's like pushing a point that, oh, we can hack this, we could do this. It's part of like a bigger attack that was
mhm,
happening, right? So I think yeah, there's a lot of like small moving parts. Like obviously there's like the macro, okay, there are actual bombs, nuclear threats, all that, but there's also like cyber threats that are being kind of like sent back and forth, but mostly from Israel to Iran right now. I'm
yeah,
really curious to see what their what's it called response would be, if
mhm.
they would do something, or if they even have the capacity to do anything at this point. Like, yeah,
Yeah. I mean, I think if things do de-escalate in terms of kinetic warfare, if America is able to step back and not take it any further in terms of troops on the ground, pray not, or any more strikes, I do think that this conflict between Israel and Iran is still going to go on, right? And cyber is a main battlefront now, right? This
Yeah,
is fifth generation warfare. This is about hearts and minds, propaganda, winning the narrative war, and attacking people where the money is. And
exactly. But Israel's gonna be on so many wars now. They've got stuff going on, and then there's stuff going on. Oh
yeah,
gosh, all
yeah.
sides.
Yeah, and Nima makes a good point that, I mean, it has 10 million users, this Novitex exchange, and saying that all 10 million users have ties to the military is crazy. And there are a lot of average, regular people who have nothing to do with the military who are getting caught up in this. So when it comes to cyber, it affects everyone, right?
Yeah,
And it's hard to draw a line and say these are bad guys, these are good guys when you're shutting down whole banks and whole exchanges. So it's it's a crazy world we live in. 2025. Let me tell you. Let me tell
who
you.
would have thought?
So yes, what is the big takeaway from that though? Get your Bitcoin off the exchange, right?
Exactly.
Don't allow it to sit there. We've seen, of
If
course,
it's
earlier
looking
this year the Bybit hack, and then we've seen this hack. So, I mean, these hot wallets on these exchanges do seem to be vulnerable. But if you have your Bitcoin in cold storage under your own control, you control the keys, you can sleep well at night and not have to worry about these kind of attacks. All right, so yes, moving on from the hack, Bitcoin uses money. Well, here's another way of Bitcoin being used as money. Ohio's House passes HB 116, the Blockchain Basics Act, exempting all Bitcoin transactions under $200 from state capital gains tax to simplify everyday use and spur adoption. So we've got this guy, Steve Demetrio. He's a representative in the Ohio House, their legislature, and he is a huge Bitcoiner. I mean, his profile picture on X is him with laser eyes, and he pushed this bill forward, and this is super cool to see, right? All transactions under $200 exempt from capital gains taxes in the state. That means you can go out, you can buy some food, go to the bar, grab a beer, not have to worry about calculating capital gains taxes on those small transactions. And you love to see it. This is really awesome. And I hope that this is a lesson for the other states and helps them push forward and see that Bitcoin is a boon for their local economy if people are allowed to be free with it. If the shackles are taken off, people don't have to worry about onerous taxes, and Bitcoin can really be used as a medium of exchange here in America.
Yeah. And I think everything is falling into place for it to be able to work and be used. Like, Bitcoin payments, some stores that like allowing Bitcoin payments and then like no tax on a certain amount, like less than $200. Like I think like everything's moving towards and for Bitcoin at this point. It's looking very good, and I think for people who are still kind of like, oh, like there's no real adoption, there's no real thing, like nothing's really happening with Bitcoin. I really beg them to like really open your eyes, see what's going on in a lot of these states. Like and it's hard to reverse back, right? Once something like this is already approved, like what's the likelihood of something being like, oh, we take it back? Like, do you
Yeah,
know? I
yeah,
don't know how to
100%.
solve this.
Agreed. Yeah, once the Overton window is nudged open,
Yeah,
it's hard to close it back, right? So yeah, I think you're completely right. These steps like this, and I mean, luckily enough, it is Bitcoin and has proven over the last 15, 16 years that the game theory does seem to play out in the way that we would like it to, and that once these initiatives start, they grow. They virally spread their tentacles around, and more people get orange pilled and get on the Bitcoin train. And speaking of getting on the Bitcoin train, this week we saw just another crazy explosion of huge amounts of Bitcoin buys, right? This is from last Monday. Strategy acquires 10,100 Bitcoin, bringing their holdings up to 592,000. This morning, they just announced another 250 million Bitcoin purchase, knocking it up another couple thousand Bitcoin. And yeah, they've grown their position by 19% in 2025. And to once your Bitcoin
nothing is
stacks,
him. Nothing is stopping Michael Saylor. Nothing is stopping strategy. It's literally the head start is insane. Like this is a like a what's it called? Like a lesson on like compounding and just like
Mhm.
running ahead. Meta Planet buys like finally hit the 10,000 milestone. You know what I mean? Like that gap, that's 1 week purchase versus like Meta Planet's like total. That
Yeah.
is crazy to me. Michael Saylor has done so well for himself and just like really committed to this. He's almost at 600K. That's crazy.
Yeah, he's over halfway to one Satoshi. Of course, Satoshi is thought to have been holding 1 million Bitcoin since the genesis of Bitcoin. Well, of course, he mined it. He didn't just airdrop it himself to himself, but he mined 1 million Bitcoin that's been sitting there. And I think Saylor has that as a goal, right?
Yeah,
To earn himself one Satoshi worth of Bitcoin, 1 million Bitcoin. So, and again, that's 5% of all the Bitcoin that will ever exist, and he has that in his sights. Yes, he can, if he doubles his Bitcoin that he has now, he'll have more than that, which is just unbelievable to see. And yeah, as you said, last week, MetaPlanet hit the 10,000 Bitcoin milestone, surpassing countries like El Salvador with 6,700 plus Bitcoin.
yeah,
And Metaplanet is they are executing, right. They've gone from a $13 million valuation a year ago to $7.63 billion today, marking a staggering 500x return since adopting its Bitcoin strategy. And
yeah,
and then just to round out this section, we've got Semler Scientific naming Joe Burnett director of Bitcoin strategy and unveils a plan to acquire 105,000 Bitcoin by 2027. And the
that's
stock,
very ambitious to get to 100,000. But what are they at right now? Do we know?
they're a little under 5,000 Bitcoin.
Okay, that's a very long way to go. But yeah,
Yeah, it
it's
is.
all these Bitcoin treasury companies coming in, like, and a lot of them doing the most crazy stunts. Like for example, I you probably already talked about Smarter Web last week, right? But like I was talking to a few people, and like people from the UK don't even know that this small Smarter Web company had the most successful IPO in the history of the United Kingdom, 400-year long history. And I'm like, this is better than anything you guys have ever seen. And they were like, no way, is that true? When did that happen? I'm like, this week, this past week. Like Bitcoin is literally doing things that no one has ever thought could happen. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
And this is just the start. Like that's like the first Bitcoin treasury company in the UK. There's gonna be so many more everywhere.
Yeah, it does feel like time is of the essence. These
Yeah,
guys who got started last year, whether it's Metaplanet or Semler, they're steps ahead of all the other countries that have, or companies that have just gotten in the game in the last couple of weeks or months, right? It does sort of feel a little weird to see all these companies, some of them with very questionable business plans who aren't profitable jumping on the Bitcoin treasury plan in order to boost their stock. And it is a question of whether these companies will have the fortitude to hold Bitcoin during a next bear market, or if this explosion will maybe lead us into the next bear market. That is a question for sure. But when
yeah,
you've got these companies like Strategy, Metaplanet, Summer Scientific, Smarter
yeah.
Web. They seem to have really taken the orange pill and believe that in Bitcoin and will not want to part with a single one of their Bitcoin, even if they have over 10,000 of them, right?
I think it's going to be very important who these companies are looking to for counsel and advice, because I see this trend of a lot of these companies, like like you said, like they were failing before and then they adopt Bitcoin. They getting people within or from the Bitcoin ecosystem who have been known to be very, very strong Bitcoiners for a long time to become part of like their director team or like their advisor or all these different positions. Like I don't know how like these other new companies are going to do it, but yeah, it's going to be very interesting over the next year or two to see, okay, what's going to happen, because I just feel like right now everyone's scrambling to get whoever they can to, oh, come join, come advise or whatever. We'll have to see how that all turns out, because a lot of people haven't actually advised at this level, right? You're not
Yeah.
handling a few pennies. Like this is millions of dollars. So we'll have
Millions of dollars, thousands of Bitcoin. You're right. And
yeah.
yeah, every single one of these companies is sort of getting their influencer mascot, right? We've got Dylan, of course, at Metaplanet, Joe Burnett and Natalie Brunell over at Summer Scientific. Jesse from OnRamp
Yeah.
is now at Smarter Web and Moon Inc. in Hong Kong. So yeah, and even Adam Back is sort of the mascot for, I think H100 is the company up in Norway or Sweden. But yes, so yeah, every single one of these Bitcoin treasury companies is scrambling for an influencer, and yeah, I'm waiting for
It'll
the
be
day.
see what when are they gonna call you up?
No, call you. Call you. I mean, they're gonna call you up next. You gotta lead a Thai
Oh my
Bitcoin
gosh.
treasury company.
I don't know if the Thailand market is something I wanna be representing. It's so manipulated. I don't even wanna get started on how manipulated that market is.
I hear you. It is kind of, it's funny though, right? To see this explosion of Bitcoin treasury companies, the influencer grab, and it'll be amazing to see how it all plays out. But I mean, they are definitely putting a bid under this market, and to have Bitcoin be over 100K for 45 straight days before yesterday, and now back above it again. It shows you that there is a strong appetite for Bitcoin from these companies, and it's not to be taken lightly.
Yeah,
Let's see how it all plays out.
I'm excited to see what happens.
Nice. But yes, right now I would like to give a quick shout out to our main sponsor, Rhino Bitcoin. Rhino is the all-in-one super app built by Bitcoiners for Bitcoiners. You can buy or sell your Bitcoin instantly. You can send sats anywhere on the Lightning Network and withdraw straight to cold storage. Even turn sats into gift cards or link a Casa multisig, all within one sleek interface. Rhino is just warming up. Soon you'll be able to pay bills, borrow against your Bitcoin, or stack for retirement without leaving the app. Download Rhino at rhinobitcoin.com or tap the link below in the description. Use code bitcoinnews and Rhino will drop you $10 in free Bitcoin right into your account today. Secure your stack with Rhino. And yes, let's get back into it as we round out this show. Thank you so much, Rhino, for helping us out here, making sure that we're able to get the news out every single Monday morning here on the Bitcoin News Weekly live stream. And I want to right now just give a large shout out to the 2,186 live watchers of this show. If you could help us out, throw a like, comment down below, tell us what you like, tell us what you want to see more of. And yeah, definitely go over here and follow Thea. She's making a lot of great content.
Professor D21.
Professor B. Nice. So yes, let's make sure we get all the news in here before we turn out. So yes, one big piece coming out of the mining section. We've got China's top Bitcoin mining rig manufacturers, Bitmain, Canaan, MicroBT. They're relocating production to the US to avoid rising trade tariffs and capitalize on the booming American hash rate. So yeah, over 30% of all of Bitcoin hash rate is in America, and they are huge, of course, purchasers of Bitcoin mining rigs, right, from these big companies that are all located over in China primarily. And so with the tariffs, these companies do not want to lose out on one of their largest customers, of course. So they are bringing manufacturing over to America. This was sort of Trump's idea when he started these tariffs. And I'm not too sure how many other industries are really taking the dive like Bitcoin mining manufacturing are. But yeah, to see this happen is actually Trump's thesis playing out. What do you think about this?
I think it's very interesting that they are one of the first to really like, we have to do this. Like it is what it is. Not just waiting around to see what's going to happen after this and see if Trump's going to take it back. Like, I I think it's interesting that like US is going to or is already now going to be like the number one Bitcoin mining country in the world. Like it's not necessarily the cheapest in terms of electricity or anything, but it just yeah, is how the cookie crumbled, I guess. It's very very interesting how yeah, Trump twisted that and now like it's all in the US. What does that actually mean for the rest of the world? Does it like is there a chance that they will move back, or like what do miners actually look into other than just like the tariffs and trade wars when they decide to mine?
So yeah, I think that there's two sides of the story here, right? There's the Bitcoin manufacturers. I mean, these three companies, they make over 90% of the world's Bitcoin mining machines. And so for them to be bringing manufacturing here to the US, I think is smart. Hopefully it's a boon for the US economy, provides more jobs. Um, but yeah, and so then there's the other side of the story, which is the fact that 31.6% of global Bitcoin hash rate is in the US, and that's up from 21% in 2024. That's crazy that it's jumped that much. It's grown by 50% in just the last year. But I think right now, I mean, America is on this sort of data center spree,
Yeah.
right? Whether it's from Bitcoin mining or AI, these industries require a lot of energy, and we've been building out for the last couple of years these massive warehouses full of computers. And so we have the expertise, we know what we're doing, and we've got a lot of the largest AI companies in the world willing to invest here and to build out within a jurisdiction that they are comfortable with. So, but over time, I think that this number is going to shrink. I can't see America having over a third of the global Bitcoin hash rate for very long, because Bitcoin mining is one of the most competitive businesses in the world,
Mm.
right? And so, yeah, there are a lot of places in the world with cheaper electricity, especially some of the largest hydro dams in the world, whether it's Ethiopia or China. Hydropower is a great way to get very cheap electricity that's pretty consistent, especially compared to intermittent energy such as solar or wind. And yeah, I think that that number, we're seeing this big boon right now because we have the expertise, we have the industrial capacity, we have some cheap energy. Places like Texas, they've invested a lot in their renewable energy, and Bitcoin mining plays well there, right? Because if there's a heat surge, they can turn off the miners in a second and allow the grid to function well when even when there's strong demand, because these Bitcoin miners are very easy to turn off and turn back on again. And they make these deals with ERCOT, the power grid down there, to do so, and they get paid to turn off, right? These Bitcoin miners. So it's a good deal for everybody because there's no blackouts in Texas. And the Bitcoin miners can easily turn right back on and get paid to have downtime. So that all works out quite well right now in Texas. But I think as time goes on, we will see Bitcoin mining, of course, go to the places with the cheapest energy in the world. Um, uh, and speaking of Bitcoin mining, let's look over to France. So last week they did something cool and then did something uncool. They proposed a bill to integrate Bitcoin mining into the national energy system to use surplus nuclear power. They've got one of the strongest nuclear fleets in terms of energy production in their country. They make more energy than they use. They sell it to their neighbors like Germany. And they had a bill that proposed to use some of that surplus energy for Bitcoin mining, but instead they rejected it.
Yeah, this one was just like, oh, come on. You have all this free energy. You could mine Bitcoin with it, get some Bitcoin, and they're just like, no, we just don't want free money. You
No,
know,
no.
we,
Stuck in the past. Stuck in the
yeah,
past. Yes. Yeah, and I mean, whether it comes to Bitcoin mining, or AI, it does seem as if Europe has some of the most onerous restrictions, and I seem frankly scared of this next new era that we're moving into, and are keeping their people back
yeah.
from fully embracing it.
And I think it's like it's just a matter of time. Like I think we all have had this revelation recently, that nothing's stopping this train, nothing's gonna stop Bitcoin at this point. We're already over the point of the no return kind of chasm. So I think the longer Europe, France or Germany or these countries take to accept either AI or Bitcoin, it's just gonna be damaging to their people. Like the people living there is just gonna be way behind those in America at this point. I feel like Americans, from what I've spoken to, there's still a lot of people who are against Bitcoin, but America as a nation itself is like very open to it, which is changing the minds of a lot of people in America, I guess. So it's gonna be a big long-term effect, not just it's not like a small political or like decision making for the state to not do anything about Bitcoin. It's gonna leave long-term effects.
Yeah, absolutely. America definitely seems to be embracing the Bitcoin revolution. We just saw this last week, the Genius Act passed the US Senate. And of course, the Genius Act is not necessarily about Bitcoin, but it is about stablecoins. It is the first major federal crypto bill to get this far in the US. Things such as the Strategic Bitcoin Reserve or executive orders, just with a stroke of a pen. Trump was able to get them passed. But of course, if a next president comes in and doesn't like it, those executive orders can be removed very quickly. Whereas the Genius Act, this bill would be signed into law if it's able to go all the way, and that is pretty much set in stone in for moving forward. And this is a big deal, right? I mean, it mandates one-to-one stablecoin backing in cash or treasuries. You need to have a monthly audit, AML compliance, and bars foreign and big tech from issuing their own stablecoins. So a lot of people say this is a great move forward for the industry. Others are saying that it's just TradFi consuming the crypto revolution, right? But no matter what you can say is that Bitcoin, crypto, this is at the forefront of the conversation, not just in our circles, but on the highest level in American politics, right? And with you on the ground in Thailand, we would be remiss not to talk about Thailand's cabinet voting to eliminate capital gains tax on Bitcoin and other crypto from January 1st, 2025 to December 31st, 2029, looking to attract some of that Bitcoin capital into their country. So yes, tell us about this. What do you think? Is it a good thing for your country? And does it show good signs moving forward for Thailand?
think I think it's definitely very, very good. But anyone who's ever lived in Thailand or knows anything about Thai politics has known that Thailand has been back and forth on this for the past like since 2018. So I remember back in 2018 they did it, they put a tax on Bitcoin, like a 15% tax, and then they took it away from Bitcoin again because of like during COVID or something. There was like a specific time they were like, oh, okay, you don't need to pay tax anymore, and then they put it back on. So the thing about Thailand is I think Thailand, they're very open to accepting new technology and do anything, but at the same time, nothing is ever as set in stone as like I don't know what I understand about maybe other countries when their laws are passed, like it's really hard to reverse, right? And that's why I always ask like, is this something that's easy to reverse or is it something hard? Because from my cultural background, we've always had this instability of like what is a law and what isn't a law.
Mhm.
I think right now, as we stand, Thailand is very open to cryptocurrencies. I would say they're not very like educated about the difference between Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, but yeah, they're open to it, and I think this is amazing. This is bullish. It's going to bring so many people here who are already like expats or like Bitcoiners, because I believe Thailand is the best place to retire in. Like your Bitcoin goes so far. You can probably retire like 3 Bitcoin. Like it's so much better, higher quality of life. So yeah, it might become like a new Bitcoiner hub
Yeah.
for the future. You know, it's like very, very good. So hopefully they don't reverse it again. But yeah, fingers always crossed in Thailand.
Yeah, I mean, this is the game theory, right? Countries will compete in order to attract the Bitcoin capital, and this
Yeah.
is one of the easiest ways for them to do it, right? Say no capital gains tax when you sell and use your Bitcoin here in this country. I do think there are a lot of stipulations in terms of this law, like it needs to be on certain exchanges and accord to certain laws in terms of in Thailand, but it's a great headline. It's a great first step. And I think if they see success with this, they will be motivated and incentivized to continue offering more to Bitcoiners. And yeah, so know what you hold, Bitcoiners. You have the capital that will be desired by organizations, companies, and even countries
Yeah. They want
starting
you there.
now. They want you there. They want your capital there. They want you to be using your Bitcoin. And I mean, that is the power that we have as Bitcoiners, right? It's pretty
And the
amazing.
0% capital gain tax on all your Bitcoin is so amazing. Like I feel like that is super, super, super extreme and very, very like future forward for Thailand to decide to bring that back. So I was like, that's good for us, good for people who come here. It will definitely, in my opinion, bring a lot of people because for me myself, right, I don't think I could live a true Bitcoiner life. Like I feel like I live a very free libertarian life here in Thailand because I am on the Bitcoin standard and also because Thailand is so affordable. Like there is no other more affordable country. I was in the US for a month and I feel like I'm like broke now. But then I came back and pad thai is 50 baht, so I'm like, we're good.
I wonder how many sats is 50 baht. That's a good question. What
I
is
don't
what
know,
is
math.
is it 100 baht to a dollar? What is the
So $1 is 34 baht or
34 baht?
35.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So one pad thai is about $1.50. So yeah, you're looking at 1,500 sats, 1,500 sats for a plate of pad thai. You could get
Yeah.
one
That's
Bitcoin
like
would go a very long way in terms of pad thai.
very long. That's why I say, like, you have like 3 Bitcoin, just retire. Some people, are like, oh, I need to get 10, I need to get 15. I'm like, yeah, okay, take your time. But if you really want to just spend a year of like, chill, come to Thailand, your Bitcoin will go very, very far.
Your Bitcoin go very, very far. Well, here at Bitcoin News Weekly, we like to help people get Bitcoin so they can take it and go very, very far with it. So every single week we do a Bitcoin trivia. This is this week's question. What is Summer Scientific's Bitcoin treasury target at the end of 2026? So not their final target in 2027, but their intermediate target of 26. So go to our Bitcoin News Weekly newsletter, put in the right answer, and you'll be entered into the weekly giveaway. This week, we have the winners, or the people who answered correctly on last week's trivia, which was in regard to Connecticut's anti-Bitcoin law, right? They said they will never have a Bitcoin strategic reserve in Connecticut, and that's just fine with me as somebody who's not a huge fan of Connecticut. But these guys here, they answered correctly, so let's see who won 21,000 sats.
Let's go.
Let's go, let's go, let's go. Oh, Robbie. All
Robbie!
right. Not me. Not me. Another Robbie out there. Cool. All right, Robbie, we will reach out to you and make sure that you get your sats. But thank you very much for participating in the trivia. And yeah, be sure to head over to the newsletter and enter into this trivia question to have your chance of winning next week. So yes, that has been this week's edition of the Bitcoin News Weekly live stream. Thea, thank you so much for joining us. If people want to check out your content, your videos, everything that you're doing, where should they go?
Okay, so on X, I'm Professor B21. I mainly do Bitcoin stuff there. But if you also want to support me and spread the Bitcoin news beyond our echo chamber, it's thea.tech. THEIA.tech, where I talk about technology that's changing the world. And obviously, I put Bitcoin in the forefronts of these tech people's minds of like, Bitcoin is a technology, Bitcoin is a science, not just finance bro talk.
Cheers, 100%. Yeah, no, you're doing the good work. We all need to go into our own little niches and spread the Bitcoin word, however subtly or as loudly as need be. So I appreciate the work that you're doing. You're making great content. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Again, we do this every Monday at 11 a.m. Eastern, breaking down the newsletter with a different guest each week. Thank you so much. You're going to come back again, of course. We love having you here. Thank you so much. And we'll chat soon.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.